An hour later, Frick's car rolled through a massive set of iron gates. One pressed her face against the window and stared. The mansion standing in front of her looked less like a house and more like something from a movie. Tall stone walls, endless glass windows, perfectly trimmed gardens, and enough space to fit several houses inside the property. She stepped out of the car and looked up. Is this his house? She whispered. Or did he rent it for a special occasion? Frick nearly choked. Why? Because nobody actually lives in places like this. Frick laughed. Why? He's a billionaire. Her eyes widened. A billionaire? Yes. She looked at the mansion again. Wow. A pose. Why am I suddenly feeling poor? Frick shook his head. It's okay. You're standing inside the house of one of the richest men in Korea. Most people would feel poor. Why nodded seriously. That actually makes me feel better. Frick led her inside and made her sit in the enormous living room. I'll call Jungkook. A few minutes later, Wan sat nervously in the grand hall. Everything looked expensive, even the flowers looked rich. Meanwhile, Frick headed upstairs straight toward the Jungkook's floor. Nobody entered Jungkook's room without permission. Nobody. So Frick waited outside. A few seconds later, the door opened. Jungkook stepped out dressed in an expensive black suit. His watch alone probably cost more than a luxury apartment. He adjusted his cufflinks while walking. Frick immediately followed. Boss, Jungkook didn't stop. What? Kangwan is here. Jungkook's footstep halted instantly. He turned so far that Frick nearly crashed into him. What? Frick swallowed. She's downstairs. Jungkook stared. Why? Frick sighed dramatically. Because she threatened me. Jungkook narrowed his eyes. Threatened you? She said if I didn't bring her here, she would announce to the media that we are secretly dating. A pause. Frick looked genuinely emotional. My girlfriend will leave me, boss. Jungkook rubbed his forehead. What a disaster. Downstairs, the second one saw him, her eyes sparkled. Oh my god, Jungkook immediately regretting coming downstairs. She practically ran towards him. Jungkook? He turned around, started walking away. Bad decision. Because Wan simply followed him like an adorable stalker. Jungkook, no answer. Jungkook, nothing. Jungkook, please. Still nothing. She continued following him through the mansion. Please give me one chance. Silence. At least say yes or no. Silence. No, don't say no. Jungkook closed his eyes. Miss Kang, just say yes. Ryan, I can't live without you. Ryan, I'll do anything. That finally made him stop. He slowly turned around. Ryan nearly walked straight into him. Jungkook folded his arms. You'll do anything? Ryan nodded immediately. Anything. Jungkook sighed. God help him. This woman was impossible. Meanwhile, Wan was staring at him again like a fan meeting her favorite celebrity. Jungkook noticed. Unfortunately, Jungkook pointed toward a giant portrait hanging on the wall. A portrait of himself. There's a picture. Wan blinked. Jungkook continued. Stare at it as much as you want. Her smile disappeared. Jungkook pointed toward the exit and then go home. Before he could leave, Wan grabbed his sleeve. The moment she did, Jungkook looked down at her hand, then looked at her. The intensity of that stare made Wan immediately release him. Sorry, Jungkook sighed. What do you want? Wan took a deep breath, then spoke softly. Honestly, didn't you miss me? For the first time, Jungkook froze because the answer was yes, and he hated that. So his face remained completely blank. You have 30 seconds. Wan's shoulder fell, then she inhaled deeply and fired the missile. I love you. Jungkook blinked. Wan smiled. Will you marry me? Silence, complete silence. Even Frick stopped breathing. Jungkook stared at her, then stared someone. What? I love you, Ryan. And the next week, I see myself as Mrs. Jeon Jungkook. Jungkook genuinely looked shocked. For once, the great mafia boss had absolutely no response. Finally, he recovered. Frick? Yes, boss. Drop her home. Van gasped. No! Jungkook started walking again. Van immediately followed again. Jungkook, no response. Jungkook, nothing, please. Still nothing. Finally, he stopped. What now? Van pointed at herself. I love you. I heard. I'll do anything. Jungkook stared at her, then slowly pointed behind her. Anything? Van smiled confidently. Anything. She turned and instantly regretted it. Standing there was the biggest dog she had ever seen, a massive black Rottweiler, muscular, intimidating, looked like it paid taxes and collected debts. Van froze. What is that? Jungkook looked calm. Rocks? That's a bear. It is my dog. It's a demon. Jungkook almost smiled. Almost. If you can become friends with rocks, we'll continue this conversation. Van looked betrayed. You fight dirty, Jungkook noted. Yes. A few minutes later, Jungkook headed outside towards his car. The meeting couldn't wait. Unfortunately, neither could Kang Wan. She broke free from the guards, ran upstairs, and appeared on the balcony. John Jungkook. Everyone looked up. Jungkook closed his eyes. Already exhausted, Wan stood dramatically near the railing. If you reject me, I will jump. This isn't drama. It is. I will prove my love. Jungkook raised an eyebrow. How? I will jump. A pause then. Okay, Wan blinked. What? Jump. The entire country courtyard went silent. Wan stared. Jungkook stared back. Jump. Wan swallowed hard. The ground suddenly looked very far away. I might die. That's generally how jumping works. Jungkook, I am waiting. When confidence evaporated completely, then suddenly someone shouted from behind her, Miss Kang. She turned, lost her balance, and slipped. Her scream echoed through the mansion. Ah! Everything happened fast. Too fast. Jungkook ran without thinking, without hesitation, without caring who saw, and caught her before she hit the ground. Wan immediately buried her face against him, crying, Please, God. Jungkook blinked. I don't want to die. The guards exchanged looks. Wan continued sobbing. I still have things to do, Jungkook sighed. Such as? Marry Jungkook. A few guards looked away to hide their laughter for the first time. A genuine smile appeared on Jungkook's face. Small but real. And seeing her cling to him like her life depended on it, something softened inside him. Cancel the meeting. Everyone froze, even Frick. Boss, I said cancel it. Then Jungkook carried her inside, straight toward his room, one place nobody entered ever. And for the first time, he decided Kangwan was worth breaking that rule. The moment Jungkook carried her back inside, Wan still had her eyes squeezed shut. Her hands were collapsed together tightly. Please, God, I don't want to die. I still have so many things to do. I still have to get married. I still have to. Jungkook sighed. God, listen to you. Wan froze. And if we keep talking this much, he might change his mind. His eyes flew open. No. She looked around wildly before realizing she was very much alive and very much inside Jungkook's arms. Relief hit her so hard that she nearly started crying again. I am alive? Jungkook glanced down at her barely. What does that mean? He didn't answer. Instead, he carried her upstairs, past several hallways, past confused bodyguards, and straight into the most forbidden place in the house, his bedroom. The room nobody entered, not even Freakman, looked around in shock as Jungkook placed her carefully on the edge of his bed. Then he pulled a chair forward and sat across from her. For a few moments, neither spoke, so finally Jungkook broke the silence. So, his eyes met hers. Tell me, what you want from me, Miss Kang? Wan immediately pointing at him. You. Jungkook closed his eyes. Of course, you already know. I do, and I'm not changing my mind. I know. Then why are we still having this conversation? Because you are stubborn. Wan smiled. And so are you. A tide escaped him. Then his expression became serious. Listen carefully. Wine straightened. Jungkook leaned forward slightly. You think you want this life? I do know. His voice was calm. You don't understand what comes with it. Wine frowned. Then explain it. Jungkook looked away for a moment as if choosing his words carefully. My life isn't normal. I know. I disappear for days. I know. I have enemies. I know. There are rules. Van folded her arms. Everyone has rules. Jungkook's jaw tightened. You wouldn't be able to walk the way you do now. Van immediately shook her head. I don't want to. That answer surprised him. You don't? No. For the first time since entering the room, her smile disappeared. I am tired, Jungkook. The honesty in her voice made him pause. Tired of cameras, tired of pretending, tired of people judging everything. She laughed bitterly. They tell me what to eat, how much to weigh, what to wear, how to smile, when to cry, when to date, when to break up. Her eyes slowly lowered. I am exhausted. Silence filled the room. Jungkook listened, really listened, and suddenly he realized this wasn't some childish crush. This wasn't a game. She genuinely meant every word. When looked back up. When I was with you in that cabin, her voice softened. For the first time in years, I felt like a normal person. Something shifted behind Jungkook's eyes. You told me ice cubes weren't food. A small smile appeared on her lips. You told me my talent mattered more than my weight. She swallowed. Nobody ever said that. The room became quiet again, painfully quiet. Then Wine whispered, I don't want that life anymore. I just want a peaceful one. Her eyes met his, and I want it with you. Jungkook looked down at their joined hands for several seconds. He didn't speak. When he finally did, his voice was lower than before. I like you, Wine. Wine's eyes widened. The confession clearly surprised her. But Jungkook continued, I don't want to hurt you. That single sentence shattered her. You are hurting me right now. His chest tightened, one eyes filled with tears. If you send me back, her voice cracked, that's going to hurt a lot more. Jungkook looked away because he had no answer. For the first time in a very long time, Jungkook didn't know what the right decision was. And that scared him more than any enemy ever. The room had gone completely silent. Outside the floor to ceiling windows, snow continued to fall across the vast state. Wan wiped her tears angrily. Why are you looking at me like that? Jungkook exhaled slowly. Because I don't understand you. Wan frowned. What's there to understand? Everything. He stood up and walked toward the window. You have a career people dream about. You have fame. You have money. You have millions of people supporting you. Wan laughed bitterly. Supporting me? She shook her head. They supported the version of me they wanted. Jungkook turned around. What does that mean? It means they love Kang Wan, the actress. Her voice became quieter. Not Kang Wan, the person. For a moment, Jungkook didn't say anything. Wan looked down at her hands. They loved my face, my body, my image. But the moment I gained weight, she laughed humorlessly. Half of them started criticizing me. A shadow crossed Jungkook's face. Van continued. Managers cared about profits, brands cared about advertisements, the company cared about ratings. But nobody cared if I was happy. The room became silent again. Jungkook slowly lowered his eyes, but he remembered the cabin, the skipped meals, the ice cubes, the insecurity hidden behind her smile, and for the first time he wondered just how lonely she had been. Wine stood up. I know your life isn't easy. She walked closer. I know there are dangers. I know there are rules. I know there are things you can't tell me. She stopped in front of him, but for the first time in years, a small smile appeared on her face. I feel safe. Something tightened inside Jungkook's chest, a feeling he wasn't used to, a feeling he didn't know what to do with. Wine pointed at him. And that's your fault. Jungkook blinked. My fault? Yes, you treated me like a person. The answer caught him completely off guard. One smiled. You ruined my standards. Ryan looked up at him. Jungkook looked down at her. For the first time, there was no running away, no excuses, no words, just silence. A very dangerous silence. One heart was beating so hard she was sure he could hear it. Jungkook, his eyes met hers. She swallowed nervously. I meant everything I said. The teasing smile disappeared from her face. I really do love you. Jungkook stared at her. This time he didn't look away, didn't change the subject, didn't walk out of the room. Wine waited and waited. Then Jungkook sighed, not an annoyed sigh, not a frustrated one, a defeated one. A kind of sigh a man makes when he is finally lost a battle he was never going to win. A small smile tugged at his lips. You are impossible. Wine immediately brightened. Is that a yes? No, her face falls. Then Jungkook continued. It's worse. What does that mean? It means I've been trying to say no for weeks. Wine blinked and it stopped working. For a moment she simply stared at him, processing his words, and her eyes widened. Wait. A huge smile appeared on her face. Wait. Jungkook already regretted saying anything. Jungkook, don't you like me? I said, don't you like me? Her excitement echoed through the entire room. Jungkook closed his eyes. A mistake, a huge mistake. When he opened them again, Wine had somehow moved even closer. Her smile was brighter than the sun, and for the first time he realized he didn't mind it. Not at all. You're happy about this, aren't you? Very. Jungkook shook his head. Unbelievable. Completely unbelievable. Yet somehow adorable. One step closer. So what happens now? Jungkook looked at her for several seconds and slowly raised a hand, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. A gesture immediately stored her breath. Her heartbeat went wild. Butterflies exploded inside her stomach. The words suddenly felt too warm, too bright, too perfect. Now, Jungkook said quietly, you stop threatening to jump from balconies. Van laughed, okay. And you stop giving freak hug attacks. Maybe. Van, okay, okay. A smile escaped him, a real one this time, soft, genuine, and Van thought her heart might actually stop. He could somehow join Jungkook smiling at her felt more dangerous than any mafia story she had ever heard. His hand remained against her cheek. Neither of them spoke, neither wanted to. Slowly, carefully, Jungkook leaned forward, giving her a plenty of time to move away. She didn't, not even a little. Their foreheads touched first, then he pressed a gentle kiss to her lips, soft, warm, unhurried, not dramatic, nothing rushed, just enough to say everything he struggled to put into words. When he pulled back, Wine stood completely frozen, blinking, speechless, which was shocking for someone who never stopped talking. Jungkook raised an eyebrow. Do you finally run out of words? Wine touched her lips, still staring at him. Then she whispered, oh my god, what? I think there are actual butterflies. Jungkook found what? In my stomach. A long silence followed. Then Jungkook sighed. You are ridiculous. Wine immediately wrapped her arms around him, her smile brighter than ever. Yeah. She rested her head against his chest, but now I am your ridiculous problem now. For the first time, Jungkook didn't disagree. The word The world outside disappeared, the mansion, the cameras, the scandals, the fears, everything gone. There was only him, only them. And for the first time, Kang Wan wasn't dreaming about her future anymore because she was finally standing inside it, right beside them. The world kept moving, the cameras would keep flashing, the headlines would keep coming. Life would never be simple, not for Kang Wan, and certainly not for John Jungkook. There would be challenges, arguments, difficult days, and a future filled with uncertainties. But for the first time, neither of them would have to face those things alone because somewhere between a kidnapping and a snow covered cabin, endless arguments, a snake, and one ridiculously persistent confession, two completely different people had found a place to belong. And sometimes love doesn't begin with perfect timing. Sometimes it begins with chaos, with mistakes, with stubborn hearts refusing to give up. And perhaps that was why their story felt so special because it wasn't a fairy tale, it was two imperfect people choosing each other again and again and again until one day it simply became forever. The end.